After being the only one to visit my grandfather in his final months, I sat at his funeral and watched as my family fought over his estate. My aunt stood up and announced, he left it all to the family that truly loved him. Everyone cheered until the lawyer pulled out the real will, addressed only to me. The screaming that followed still rings sweet in my ears. I'm not writing this for sympathy. I don't want anyone's pity. But I need to get this off my chest. This all happened just a few months ago, and some days it still doesn't feel real. My name's Ray. I'm 34, live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I work long days doing roofing and concrete. I don't have a wife or kids, just a small apartment and a dog named Trigger. But this story isn't really about me, not at first. It's about my grandfather. Harold Barnes. He was the only man in my family who ever treated me with respect. The rest of them? They smiled at me when they needed something and looked right past me when they didn't. That's just how my family works. Everything's about appearances. Church on Sundays, gossip on Mondays. Grandpa Harold was different. He was old school. He worked his whole life, started out fixing cars, then opened a hardware store on the edge of town. Ran that place until he was 78. He was never rich, not the flashy kind, but he had money tucked away. No debt. Owned his house. Owned a plot of land out in Broken Arrow he never talked much about. Just said he was saving it for something real. Around a year ago, I got a call from him. Said he'd been feeling off, went to the doctor, and they found something. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. They gave him 6 months, maybe less. That same week, the family descended. Like vultures. My Aunt Martha showed up first. She's my mom's sister. She lives 2 hours away in Norman. She brought her 2 sons, my cousins Shane and Nick. She was all smiles and casseroles, acting like she was the golden child. My mom was worse. She started coming around too, even though she hadn't visited Grandpa in over 3 years. She'd call me and say stuff like, "This is our chance to reconnect with him, Ray." But it wasn't about connection. It was about what he was leaving behind. The first few weeks, Grandpa's house was full. People stopping by, acting helpful, bringing food, talking about memories they probably had to Google just to remember. But after a month, it all faded. He started needing help to get out of bed. His appetite dropped. He couldn't make it to the bathroom without support. That's when they all suddenly got busy. Martha had a work retreat. My mom started saying the drive was too far with her back pain. Shane and Nick? Ghosted. No calls, no visits. I was the only one left. So I showed up. Every day after work. Some days he could still talk. Other days, he just stared out the window and held my hand. I helped him shower, cleaned up when he threw up, watched old westerns with him even though I'd seen every damn one twice. One night, he was sitting in his recliner. His skin looked gray. He was thinner than I'd ever seen him. He told me to grab a folder from the drawer near his bed. Inside was a fresh will. It had been signed, notarized, everything. He left everything to me. I told him I couldn't take it. I said it wasn't fair. He looked at me, his voice raspy, and said, "Ray, fairness left this family years ago." 2 weeks later, he died. I didn't cry at first. I'd already done that. Quietly. Alone. In his kitchen when he told me he was ready. In the backyard when I saw him try and fail to tie his own shoelaces. It's a strange thing, watching someone disappear piece by piece. We had the funeral at Maynard's funeral home, the same place they buried Grandma 30 years ago. It's an old white building with burgundy carpets and too many fake flowers. The family started arriving like they were coming to a red carpet event. Martha wore a black dress with a pearl necklace. My mom was in heels even though she complains about her feet every day. They acted like they'd been there every step. I kept my mouth shut. I sat in the front row alone, next to the casket. I was there when he died. None of them were. That casket might have been empty for all they knew. The priest gave a short speech. Then he asked if anyone wanted to speak. Martha stood up, all dramatic. She put her hand on the casket and said, "My father was a man who valued love and loyalty. He believed in family above all else. And I know deep in my heart that he would want us to stay united." Then she smiled. Real smug. And I just want to share that he left his estate to the family he knew truly loved him. There were actual claps. Some of my cousins smiled like they'd won the lottery. I stayed quiet. Then the lawyer stood up. His name was Peter Albright. I'd met him once before when Grandpa asked me to drive him to his office. Peter said, "I have here the final will and testament of Harold Barnes. Dated and notarized 3 weeks before his passing." He unfolded the paper, cleared his throat, and read. "To my grandson, Raymond Barnes, I leave my house, my business, my land in Broken Arrow, and the contents of my personal accounts. I revoke all previous wills. This is my final decision." Silence. You could have heard a pin drop. Then Martha exploded. She stood up, knocking over her chair. "That's fraud," she shouted. "He was sick. He didn't know what he was doing." Peter didn't flinch. Mr. Barnes was of sound mind. He had 2 witnesses. A nurse. A notary. It's legal. My mom started crying. One of my cousins muttered, "This is bulls ******. Then Martha pointed at me and screamed, "You manipulated him. You took advantage of a dying man." I didn't say anything. What could I say? I sat there, hands folded, while the people who abandoned him tore each other apart. The screaming went on for 5 whole minutes before the funeral director asked them to calm down or leave. That moment still plays in my head sometimes. When I'm at the store. When I'm driving. When I walk through the hallway of the house they all wanted. It's like a reward. A soundbite of justice. After the funeral, I thought maybe they'd cool off. Maybe they'd accept it, move on, cut their losses. I was dead wrong. Within 2 weeks, I got hit with legal papers. Martha filed a petition in probate court, trying to contest the will. Claimed undue influence, said I pressured Grandpa while he was weak, that I kept her from seeing him, poisoned him against the family. She even said I forged the signature. She was serious. Hired a lawyer out of Oklahoma City. Some guy in his 50s who wears slick suits and talks like a politician. Her petition was full of lies. She claimed she visited Grandpa every week. Said she took care of him, paid for things, drove him to appointments. None of that was true. I had texts. I had time-stamped photos. I even had the hospice nurse ready to testify. But it didn't stop them. My cousin Nick posted on Facebook that I robbed our dying grandfather for a house and a bank account. My mom texted me saying I should just split everything because we're still family. I didn't respond. Then Shane, Martha's younger son, showed up at the hardware store one afternoon. I was helping a customer when I saw him walk in. He's tall, wears his hair too slick for someone his age. Walked straight up to the counter like he owned the place. "You really think Grandpa wanted you to have all this?" he asked. I looked him straight in the face. He signed the papers. He told me himself. He leaned in close. "You better watch your back, man. We're not done." He walked out before I could say anything. 2 nights later, someone slashed the tires on my truck. I didn't call the cops. No cameras, no proof. But I knew who did it. Instead, I started keeping records of everything. Every voicemail, every text, every visit. I installed cameras at the house and the store. I even bought a body cam and wore it when I worked late. I knew they were trying to push me, hoping I'd snap or make a mistake. The court date came 6 weeks later. They showed up dressed like saints. Martha wore a dark suit, held a tissue the entire time. Shane and Nick sat in the back, whispering and snickering. My mom didn't come. Their lawyer talked for 20 minutes about how Grandpa was confused, under medication, not in his right mind. Said it was suspicious that he changed the will so close to the end. Accused me directly of isolating him and manipulating him for financial gain. Then it was my lawyer's turn. He didn't say much. Just brought out the hospice nurse. She testified that I was the only visitor for the last 3 months. Said Grandpa talked about me every day. Said he was clear-headed and sharp up until the last few days of his life. Then we showed photos. Dates, times. Me feeding him, walking him to the bathroom, sitting beside him reading the paper. We showed texts from my aunt making excuses. Played a voicemail Grandpa left me where he thanked me for taking care of everything. We ended with a copy of the video from the day he signed the will. Grandpa, sitting in his chair, clear as day, saying, "I'm changing my will because Ray is the only one who gives a damn. He's the only one who's been here. The rest are strangers." The judge didn't even need time to decide. Case dismissed. I thought that would be it. But it only made them angrier. The day after the ruling, someone broke the front window of the hardware store. Threw a rock through it with a note tied to it that said, "Thief." A week later, I found animal guts in my mailbox. No note. Just raw meat. Looked like chicken or rabbit. I filed a police report, but nothing came of it. No prints, no leads. I knew it was them. But I couldn't prove it. Then something happened I didn't expect. A letter came. No return address. Just my name, typed on the front. Inside was a copy of a bank statement, Grandpa's savings account. But something was off. There was a withdrawal for $30,000 2 weeks before he passed. I'd never seen that before. The note inside said, "Ask your mom where it went." I confronted her that night. Drove to her place, knocked on the door. She answered in a robe, surprised to see me. I held up the bank statement. "What is this?" She froze. Then she said, "I didn't have a choice." Turns out, she asked Grandpa for money, said she needed it for medical bills. He gave it to her, but she used it to cover credit card debt and pay off her boyfriend's truck. He never told me. He probably didn't want to upset me near the end. I walked away that night shaking. Not just from anger. From everything. All the lies, the games, the fake love. My own mother. My own family. I went home and poured myself a drink. Sat on the floor. Trigger, my dog, curled up next to me. That's when I made a decision. If they wanted to play dirty, I'd play smarter. No more staying quiet. I always thought I was the quiet one. The peacemaker. The one who just kept his head down and worked hard. But something in me snapped after I found out about that $30,000. Grandpa helped my mom, even when she hadn't visited him in years. He gave her money because he still believed she'd do the right thing. And she burned it on debt and some loser boyfriend with a lifted Dodge Ram and 3 DUIs. I stopped answering her calls after that. Didn't even block her. Just let the voicemails pile up. One said, "You're turning cold, Ray." Another said, "This isn't what your grandfather would have wanted." But the thing is, it was. He'd seen them for who they were. He just didn't want to die fighting them. I didn't have that excuse. 2 weeks later, I was at the hardware store going over inventory when I got a call from Peter, the lawyer. "Ray," he said, "you might want to sit down." I was already sitting. "Harold had a safety deposit box. Bank just notified us. He didn't mention it in the will, but your name was added as an authorized party. You'll want to come see this." I went the next day. It was at an old bank downtown. Inside the box was a small stack of letters, one videotape, a USB drive, and a sealed envelope with my name written in Grandpa's handwriting. The envelope had a short letter. It said, "If you're reading this, then I'm gone. And I'm sorry. There are things I never said. Maybe I should have. But I didn't want to poison you against them. Still, I kept records just in case they tried anything. I hope you never need this. But if you do, do not hold back." I took the box home, plugged in the USB, and my jaw dropped. There were recordings over a dozen taken with a tiny voice recorder he must have kept hidden. Some from the living room. Some in the kitchen. And a few from the backyard porch. The audio was clear. And ugly. Martha talking about how she was going to split the house and sell the land as soon as the old man goes. My mom saying, "We just need to hang on until he dies, then we'll divide it like we always said." Even Nick, my cousin, saying, "If Ray tries to claim anything, we'll make his life hell." One file was a phone call between my aunt and some guy named Rick, probably a lawyer friend. She said, "I don't care what the will says, he's old and confused. I'll burn the whole thing down before that loser Ray gets a penny." That one made my blood boil. I didn't know what to do at first. My instinct was to go public. Post it all. Let everyone see what they really were. But then I remembered what Grandpa said, "Don't hold back." So I waited. I planned. The next month, I made moves. Quiet ones. First, I called the county assessor's office and had the land in Broken Arrow reevaluated. Turns out the value had more than doubled in the last 5 years. Developers had started creeping in from the city. I listed the land, privately, through a broker. I didn't tell anyone. Then I filed a restraining order against Shane after I caught him following me twice in his car. I submitted photos, witness statements. The judge granted it. One more incident and he'd face real charges. Next, I compiled all the recordings onto a secure drive. Labeled everything. Time-stamped it. Took copies to my lawyer and made it clear if anyone in my family came near me, my business, or my property again, we'd go nuclear. I didn't hear from them for a while after that. Then I got a visit I wasn't expecting. It was a Wednesday. Late. Store was closed. I was in the back, sweeping up, when I heard a knock on the glass. It was Nick. My cousin. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. I opened the door just a crack. "What do you want?" I asked. He looked down, then back up. "I just need to talk. Please." I let him in. He stood there for a second, then said, "You don't know the half of it." Turns out, Martha took out a line of credit using Grandpa's old store as collateral years ago. Forged his signature. Never paid it off. The bank had held off calling it in while Grandpa was alive, probably out of respect or fear of bad press. But now that I was the listed owner, they were coming for payment. Over $60,000 in debt. "And she told the bank you were the one who made the deal," Nick said. I felt sick. Not because I believed it but because now I knew how deep they were willing to go. He pulled out a folder and handed it to me. It was a copy of the paperwork. Her signature. Grandpa's signature poorly faked. But clearly fake. "You're giving me this?" I asked. He nodded. I'm done protecting her. She treats everyone like garbage. And I know you took care of him. I should have helped. I didn't. I didn't say anything. Just nodded. That night, I added one more folder to my war chest. Forgery. Fraud. Abuse. Threats. I had enough to bury them. But I wasn't going to court. Not yet. I had a different idea. After Nick handed me that folder, something shifted in me. I'd tried staying calm. Tried taking the high road. But this wasn't just family drama anymore. This was criminal. They forged Grandpa's name. Used his business. Lied in court. Spread filth about me. Harassed me in my own home. I wasn't going to just sit and let them crawl back under their rock. I wanted to make sure they never forgot what they did and what it cost them. So I started my plan. The debt Martha left on Grandpa's hardware store was real. I called the bank and told them the truth that the loan was taken out without my knowledge or permission. Sent them proof of the forged documents. Sent voice recordings of Martha bragging about using Grandpa's credit and forging his name. Sent Nick's signed affidavit confirming everything. They started their investigation immediately. Within 3 weeks, Martha was served papers. The bank wasn't just calling the loan due. They were pressing criminal charges. Forgery. Fraud. Elder financial abuse. Martha tried to pin it on me again. But by now, no one believed her. The bank's handwriting expert confirmed the signature was a fake. They brought in a notary who admitted she never witnessed Grandpa signing anything that Martha had told her, it was just a routine update. The notary lost her license. Martha got arrested. I uploaded everything, every voice recording, every document, every photo to a private website. Password protected. Then I emailed the link to every family member who'd ever doubted me. Every cousin. Every in-law. Every old family friend who thought Martha and my mom were saints. In the email I wrote, here's what really happened. You can believe whatever you want, but this is the truth. Grandpa deserved better. And I won't let you rewrite history. By the end of the week, the site had over 300 views. 2 of my cousins called me to apologize. One of my mom's sisters sent me a handwritten letter saying she was ashamed for ever defending Martha. I didn't forget about the $30,000 she took. I let it sit for a while, then sent her a single text, you have 2 options. Pay it back every cent and I let it go. Or I take the letter and the bank withdrawal and go to the police. She didn't reply for 3 days. Then I got a message. I don't have that kind of money, Ray. I responded, then sell the damn truck you bought for your boyfriend. Or prepare for charges. 2 weeks later, a check arrived in the mail. $30,000. No note. Just the check. I donated every penny to the local hospice that cared for Grandpa. Remember that plot of land in Broken Arrow? I sold it. Quietly. For $1.2 million. The buyer? A local nonprofit that builds low-income housing for veterans. I didn't take a dime for myself. I told them to name the development after Harold Barnes. They broke ground 3 months ago. Barnes Acres. The first 10 homes go to vets coming off the streets. Every house will have a plaque inside that says, this land was given in honor of a man who believed in showing up when it mattered. I still run the store. Kept the name. Barnes Hardware. I repainted the outside. Cleaned up the back lot. Hired a few kids from the neighborhood and gave them hours after school. Sometimes people come in and ask, you Harold's grandson? I say, yeah. He taught me everything I know. And then I get back to work. Convicted. 2 years probation. Fined heavily. Reputation ruined. Her kids don't talk to her. She tried to sue the bank for emotional distress. It got laughed out of court. She moved to Texas. Haven't heard from her since she mailed the check. Her boyfriend dumped her when the money dried up. I sleep better now. The nightmares stopped. The anger faded. Not because I let it go, but because I followed through. I didn't scream. I didn't fight in the dirt. I just held on to the truth and hit them with it when they least expected it. Some people say revenge is bitter. Not this time. This time, it tasted like peace. And justice. And a quiet front porch, watching the sunrise over land they'll never touch again.